I remember the first synthesizer sound that impressed me in a music store. It was the Windbell patch on the DX21. This is a variation of the patch on the V50. I was fascinated by the haunting sound. That was nearly 40 years ago. When I got a DX7 years later, I assumed it would be easy to recreate the sound on the DX7 since it's a more expensive model with 6 operators. But it could not, because the DX21 and the other 4 operator models have an advantage of a faster rate for the LFO, which is needed for the patch. I'll lower the modulation depth so you can hear the sound without the fast vibrato. Now I'll raise it back to what it was so you can hear it with a gritty overtone. John Chowing said that FM is essentially vibrato. So the modulation is adding FM on top of FM. As I lower the rate of the modulation, the winding overtone will become a slower pitch modulation. So when I raise up the speed of the modulation, it becomes that gritty overtone. Since the V50 is great at leads, I created a lead with that overtone. Okay, I'll show what happens when I try to recreate that sound on an original DX7. Here's the patch as best as I can get it. Okay, so now there's no modulation, so I have the LFO going as fast as it can go. And when I increase the depth, you get this fast vibrato. So the LFO can't run as fast as it can on the 4 operator models like the DX21 and the V50. And I checked on the Chord Chronos, and the Chronos has the same limitation. I programmed the Windbells on the SY99, but it's the same as on the SY77. So now I'll show you the patch settings. The Windbells use algorithm 42, but only the first 2 towers are needed. Now for the frequency settings. The first operator has a frequency ratio of 1. Operator 2 is 1.41. Operator 3 is 1. And operator 4 is 5.95. The first waveform 1 is used for all the operators. These are the envelope settings for the first operator. And then these are the level settings for the first operator. You can just copy these. And then for the second operator, these are the rates. And then these are the levels. And you basically can duplicate. Operator 1 will have the same envelopes as operator 3. And operator 4 or operator 2 will have the same settings as operator 4. Here's the output settings. Operator 1 is 127. Operator 2 is 87. Operator 3 is 127 again. And then operator 4 is 88. These are the feedback settings. Operator 2 should have an input of 7, and then operator 4 should have the input up to 7 as also. Now for the LFO settings. This is really important for the gritty, breathy overtone. At first time I tried to create this patch, I couldn't get it to work. And then I discovered what's needed is the sub LFO needs to be used for this. So sub LFO, I have a waveform of sample hold. The speed of the rate of the LFO should be 127. And then the pitch modulation depth I have to 14. Okay, last for the velocity sensitivity. Operator 1 is 5. Operator 2, I have 0.2. Operator 3, 0.5. So now you should have a Windbell patch that's really very distinctively FM. Some of these patches were formed over 30 years, so they are well worth the $9. Until next time, take care.